there, this is Jennifer Vanderbeek, Imagine Artist in Residence, and today I'm going to show you how to make decorative covers and end papers for a little notebook. Now, I'm starting with a little hand-bound notebook that I made, but you could also use a field notes notebook or a little composition book, whatever you think is going to be most appropriate for your project. I'm also going to use some book cloth, and this I also made. All it is an even weave fabric like linen or cotton that you've glued a sheet of tissue paper to. What the tissue paper does is it acts as a bit of a stabilizer for the fabric, and since we're going to do some fabric stamping on it, it's also going to keep the ink from bleeding through. So I'm going to use my Fabrico marker to ink up this celestial pattern stamp I have, and I am going to apply it to the front cover of my book. I've already cut the cover out what I need, and I've added the strip of grosgrain ribbon to kind of act as a decorative spine cover as well. And then to personalize it a little bit, as part of Carved December, I made this cute little monogram stamp for myself, and I am going to put this roughly in the lower right corner, and that way, this will always mark this book as mine. Now, for the end papers, I'm going to use a sheet just of copy paper because end papers are usually lighter weight paper, and I am going to use the same stamp so that we have a repeating motif on the outside and the end, but I'm going to use Memento ink in a complementary color on the white paper, and I'm just going to stamp that over an entire sheet, and that way I can trim out what I need. So the next step is to actually assemble the cover. This goes very quickly. You need a strong craft glue that you can spread along most of the cover. Now, I stopped at the stitching line, which is about a ½ an inch or so from the spine. And the reason why I did that is because I don't want the cover to be stretching or cracking or shifting or otherwise be under undue stress. So any book you're going to use this technique on, go ahead and stop your glue about 1/4 to a ½ of an inch before the edge of the book. Glue one cover on, make sure you get it really well positioned, and then fold over the flaps to the inside of the cover and secure those. And I'm going to use a bunch of binder clips to keep these in place just because I don't want it to shift while I'm working on the other parts. And then you're going to do the same thing for the back panel. Now for the end papers, we're going to do a very similar technique. I'm going to apply the glue in a very even coat. I'm using my palette knife to do this just like I did on the cover. And I'm going to apply it again, not over the entire page, but I'm going to stop a little bit before where the book meets the cover. Same reason. I don't want to glue it into place and then have it tear or buckle. So if you leave it a little bit loose, then you have a little bit of play for the movement of opening and closing the book. And then once it's adhered and lined up perfectly with the first page of the book, then I'm going to repeat the process with the inside cover to get it secured there again, leaving a little bit of a gap, a little bit of a valley there with the glue. Do the same thing on the back, and your book is more or less done. So as a finishing touch, I want to add a decorative string closure to this book. I know that as I use this little notebook, it's going to get things inserted and just tucked inside, and it's not going to want to close naturally and stay closed. So I'm going to do a string closure like you see on inner office envelopes or other little old-fashioned decorative books and items, and it's really simple to do. You'll need an eyelet or something to thread it through. You'll need some string, and you'll need something to act as like the little topper stop thing. In my case, I punched a heart shape out of black cardstock, and I am going to stack that onto the cover and go ahead and punch the hole with my eyelet setter, position the string so that it's really, really close to where the eyelet is, so it'll snug up in there. I'm just using embroidery floss for this. You could use anything that you have on hand. Just keep in mind how thick it is compared to your eyelet and everything else. And then the string gets sandwiched between the little top whatever and the cover of the book, and then once you set the grommet or eyelet, it's in place. And then ta-da, you have a finished book with a string closure, and it's just so cute. It's got a custom printed cover with matching end papers. How can you go wrong? Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope this gives you some great ideas. And as always, for more tips and inspiration, please point your browser to imaginecrafts.com.